Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the College Times Finance and Accounting Summit. Whilst I was supposed to be speaking live, I've sent this pre recorded session because I have to be out of Dubai. I seriously miss it. I love communicating direct and live with everyone. Nevertheless, let's improvise. I am Sanjeev Agarwala, the Assistant Group Managing Director of Habtoor Group. As you all know, Habtoor Group is a family office diversified into various businesses like hospitality, real estate, automotives, selling and leasing, and education and insurance. We are a home, like they say, a company grown on the soil of UAE and in Dubai, and we are proud of our achievements. We will soon be celebrating our 50th anniversary. I am today going to speak about optimizing assets. And I think the best way for me to do this is to share with you my journey with Al Habtoor Group. I joined Al Habtoor Group in 1997, more than 20 years ago, and have changed 12 designations so far. Yes, indeed, 12 different designations. Each has brought into huge amount of experience, excitement, and enthusiasm in my career. I started as a financial controller of the Metropolitan Hotel, which stood where the marvelous Al Habtoor city now stands. My role took me from being a financial controller to a regional controller to a chief investment officer to a group financial controller to a strategy officer, and now looking at operations as chief operating officer and now the assistant managing director. Each role presented a different point of view how we should look at an asset or business. And I think this journey has helped me learn so many things, which I would like to share some of it with all of you. As we grow up, or as I grew up, initially the focus was more on accounting, bookkeeping, and financial matters. But I knew right from start that that's not my goal. If I have to be successful, I have to understand operations. So while I was the financial controller of the hotel many years ago, I started to take a deep interest in the operations. And I used to love, and I still do love, hospitality. And once you understand operations, you understand the business, believe me, the finance becomes more fun. Financial decisions taken, keeping the operations in mind, makes you an all-rounder. And that leads to a success of not only you as an individual, but of the organization. Everywhere where we find a business decision helps in increasing revenue or maximizing profits, one should take. Let me give you some examples. Sometimes we believe, okay, my food cost should be, let's say, 30%. And we take certain decisions as if to say, oh no, if my food cost is high, let's not invest in this menu item. As an operations, sometimes sacrificing the margin, but getting that incremental revenue and that incremental profit is a wise decision to take. These are very small examples, but this is how one must learn that always keep the focus on the costs, but a bigger focus on the bottom line. My journey evolved from being a financial controller into a group chief operating officer. When looking at operations, how did my finance background or experience help me? In one word, immensely. as long as you have a focus on the expenses and make sure that every expense is made is correct. It is essential for the business. Sometimes it can be high, and that's where a very practical or business commercial decision has to be taken. That is the right decision. We should not be scared of making bold decisions, as long as you know that's the right thing to do to improve shareholder value. Let me talk to you about long-term financial resilience, the life cycle of the asset, how to grow, prosper, or to expand the business in a very simplified manner. For our long-term financial resilience, one must always ensure that you have certain buffers kept in. But to do that, let me go back and let's start talking about the life cycle. So then the resilience will be easier to explain. A story well planned, a project well planned from the initial stages ensures a lot of troubles are eliminated as we go forward. You must have a solid feasibility. Understand that that business is viable. It's the requirement. There is sufficient demand and you have advantages over your competitors. These are simple matters. But financial matters require great sense of discipline and planning. We tend to ignore that in haste, and when we make haste, we make waste. Always ensure that you do not fund long-term projects with short-term financing. This is the first mantra. If your asset cash flows are properly matched, you never say never, but you will not fall into trouble in the life cycle of the asset. We get tempted and take short-term borrowings because sometimes they're easy to obtain. I would always advocate against it. To have the right resilience, the longevity of the asset, ensure that these are properly matched. Negotiate with your lenders. Negotiate hard, negotiate smart. Keep the initial amortizations low, and whatever the asset produces, try to match your outflows based on that. Keep a waterfall in case you make excess cash. You are in a position to pay back earlier, and keep some reserve for yourself. This reserve is important, especially for rainy days. Who could have predicted the situation, the time that we are in now? Most businesses are suffering, and there's a common prevalent theme around all of us: cash flows. We are strained about cash flows, and if you have the right buffer, the right reserves, one can pass through difficult times like what we are in now. Optimizing the asset must ensure that your assets produce revenues from all its resources, and every income stream is properly accounted for and operationally looked after. That's where the fine line comes in between a successful CFO and having the right operational knowledge. I have the experience or the good fortune of understanding the operations, which helped me being a good CFO. There are so many avenues where one can focus right, make the right investments, whether in marketing, human resources, to ensure that your revenues are optimized. Whether it's hospitality, whether it's automotives, wherever you are, you have to keep a close eye on the competition. Let me talk to you or share with you some other things. To optimize an asset is improving profitability or enhancing shareholder value. What measures we should be doing as a COO and a CFO, more so as a Chief Operating Officer. The first thing I would advocate or recommend that one we should do is build a very strong team. Always partner with the finest. Do not be scared to hire or surround yourself with people who are better than you. Have a strong team with you, below you, and whoever are your partners outside your organization, always try to pick the best. This is a fundamental belief I recommend. The partners that you choose from outside your organization, even though they might be expensive, but they bring in huge value which is invisible on paper, but it helps in the long run. They bring their own network, their advantages, and best practices, which are not put on your rate comparative sheet. Your team should be equally strong, if not stronger than you are. They are your support. Remember that. You must learn to empower them. Let them make decisions. Let them be accountable, and let them take responsibility. The faster you grow your team and make them strong is the speed you will climb up the ladder in your organization. You must have a strong network, a very strong network of suppliers. Have a robust supply chain and invest in your suppliers. Ensure that they are able to produce strong, good quality products that you require. They can sustain, and they have your support both financially and expertise in terms of technology. If you have a strong supply chain, it will be good for your product and your value chain. At the same time, you must have or keep a very close touch with your consumers. They are your biggest assets. Learn from them. Hear the customer whisper. As we always say, customer is king. And especially coming from a hospitality industry, who knows best that one repeat guest is worth 10 new customers, 10 new guests. Never undermine the comfort, the trust of your consumers. It's very important for a long, sustainable business or sustainable asset. You have long-term customers, consumers, suppliers, and staff. In Habtoor, this is something we can take great pride of. Most of us in our senior management and various different businesses are with the organization for 10, 15, 20 years. This stability is our strength. Also, we believe in diversity. We have people from nearly 80, 90 different nationalities. This variety brings us best practices from different cultures, ideas, and perspectives. I've learned this in my experience, in my journey with Habtoor, and strongly recommend for all organizations, business owners, and entrepreneurs to follow. One thing one must always be mindful of and not forget is technology. Many years ago, technology was not the priority of any business. Most of it things were done manually or with very ancient machines. Today, technology drives the business. Technology is based around which businesses are built, businesses are made, and the key success to many businesses lies in its heart, which now is technology. If I speak about the hospitality, had it not been for this modern technology, machines, we would have never reached the glory and success ever. Diversification, whether it's lateral, vertical, or horizontal, is the need of the hour. One must ensure the supply chain is protected. Businesses can grow organically. And if you have a business, let me take the example of car leasing for us. We grew our car leasing because we had a very strong automotive distribution network. Many a times, we were not able to sell those cars in the required quantities that we would like to have. Many a times, the product was not known to the consumers. How best we can solve that is to have your own leasing company. It's a beautiful synergy. A person who is not able to afford a vehicle for various reasons, cash flows, ideology, balance sheet, he can resort to leasing. And we filled in that gap easily and very productively. That's where Diamond Lease was born, one of our companies in the group, to support Habtoor Motors. Today, Diamond Lease has more than 8,000 cars on the road at any given point of time. It helps us in many ways. It gives a consumer the feel of the product. It gives huge visibility in the market, which is direct marketing for us. It helps us in generate car sales and also used car sales. It's a perfect cycle of business and a self-sustaining model. Similarly, in various businesses, you should identify where and what product can help complement your business, help supplement your business, and that's where one should invest in. Invest in your people, invest in your technology, invest in your team, invest in your suppliers, invest in your consumers. If you are right with them, nothing can go wrong with you or your businesses. In short, you have to develop a sustainable model, and it's very easy to do so. But nothing comes easy. You have to be patient. Perseverance is the key. Transparency is the key. And trust is the key. You have to build the trust with people around you. Always live up to your word and be positive. I also take this opportunity to thank Mr. Khalaf Habtoor, the founder chairman of Habtoor Group, who gave me or had the trust in me for the last 20 plus years, starting off as a financial controller of a 200-room property on Sheikh Zayed Road, the Metropolitan Hotel. And today, I speak proudly in front of all of you as the Assistant Managing Director of the group. This shows the power of trust, the power of resilience, the power of optimizing assets, and to be a good leader. finance and operations go hand in hand. To be a successful CFO, you have to understand the operations, the nuances of the operations. A decision on financial matters is not based on what's the cheapest quote one can get to buy a product. Sometimes buying cheap is false economy. Buying the correct product, the right product at the right price, not necessarily the lowest price, is the key to success. Operating assets require a lot of attention and understanding, and that's where a strong person with a financial background has that level of advantage. I thank you all to listen to me in this pre-recorded message, although I wish I could have made this live. Thank you again, and thank you College Times for this opportunity.